And we're back. This is Hook and Ladder. Hopefully we can run through this a little quick and move on to this weekend's games. So I guess we get started. Kansas State knocked off Arizona 31-7.
Expect a little bit more from Arizona this game, but got to give credit to Kansas State. Avery Johnson looked good. Young quarterback, made some mistakes, but he led the team in rushing. He threw the football well when he had to. And they got the transfer kid from Colorado. I forget his name, but he was the kid that was committed to Notre Dame, flipped to Colorado, played 1 year, and he transferred into Kansas State. That dude returned a punt for a touchdown, and every time he touched the football, something awesome was happening. I think it was like Edwards or something like that. Anyway, great-looking player. I think in that conference, on that team, I think he's going to have more of the spotlight on him than he really would have had in Colorado because everything's on Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Shiloh Sanders and those guys. And when they leave, I don't know what Deion's going to do. Let's say he does stay there, but like when they leave, who do they have coming in? So this guy just left Colorado, and now he's on Kansas State, where that light's going to shine on him. Really, really fun player to watch. But Kansas State looked pretty good.
Cool. UNLV knocked off Kansas 23-20. You seen any of that one?
No.
Okay.
I was watching the Kansas State game. They went to bed.
Yeah.
Didn't want to stay up too late because they had a big full slate of games on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Saturday, UGA knocked off Kentucky 13-12. Kentucky gave Georgia all they wanted.
That was a bad game. And my biggest takeaway from that game, you know, like when you go on the message boards, fans, like they bitch and moan, and there's some fans that want to say, oh, well, hold on a minute, like what were there was some reasons things weren't going, there was injuries. No, Georgia looked bad. Georgia looked like they were an unranked team.
They looked like they were overlooking Kentucky completely and looking past them to Bama.
Yes, possibly, you're right, but they also was like unranked team to me. I mean, there were guys on offense that are 4- and 5-star guys that were playing like 2-star guys. Credit the defense. I thought the defense played well. Georgia has a slew of injuries. There's like 6 guys on the defensive line out. Kentucky, the second half, started to be able to run the football on them a little bit, but the linebackers were making plays. What's that?
They were gouging them on the ground.
They were. And earlier in the game, they weren't doing that. I thought Georgia's defensive line held up, but just so many guys out. Some of these guys just had to play a ton of snaps. But Jalen Walker, dude, probably won't be in many conversations for any awards. He's a pass rush guy. He's kind of a do-it-all Swiss Army knife linebacker. Mark my words, that guy will be a first-round draft pick.
Absolutely.
Just because of what he can do. He's the kind of guy LSU fans wanted Harold Perkins to be after his freshman year. And I think Walker is 10 times better than Perkins. Nothing against Perkins. He's kind of stuck. He hasn't really put on the weight, and we'll get to LSU in a second, I'm sure. But Jalen Walker's awesome. He had a huge game.
He's all over the field.
He was, and there was a few other guys on defense for Georgia that played well. Other than that, they played like crap, and they got dropped down to number 2 in the rankings as they should have been.
So, absolutely. Itching. I think it's your dogs.
Probably.
Yeah. Moving right along. Got Texas knocked off UT San Antone 56-7. Some Archie Manning action.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers goes down with the oblique injury, and Archie comes in, and they're so deep, and I know they got a lot of transfers at wide receiver, and those guys are making plays. They're just really, really deep all across the board. I mean, they've got the best quarterback room in the country, right?
That's right.
Funny thing about this game, Arch Manning ran for a 67-yard touchdown run. They put the graphic up the next day on College Football Final. His longest run, 67 yards. His uncle Eli's longest run, 15 yards. His uncle Peyton's longest run in college, 13 yards. I just thought it was funny. Yeah. He's got more wheels than those guys. Yeah. Obviously, speed probably skips a couple of generations.
Yes.
But they look good. They are definitely worthy of the number 1 ranking, in my opinion.
Yeah. Moving right along. Alabama knocked off Wisconsin. Game of the week, 42-10.
No surprise here. You kind of saw this coming. I was interested to see how they would do against a team that might have a little bit more size on the line of scrimmage. I felt last week against South Florida there might be some more athletic guys, some more athletic skill guys, which Wisconsin doesn't have. But they knocked out the QB, Van Dyke, first drive.
Yeah.
Milroe, went for 196 passing, 75 rushing, counted for 5 touchdowns. Neither one of those stats will jump off the page at you, his yards passing and rushing. But they just continue to do it with him. That guy is going to be the driving force of Alabama. I know their front seven's really good. They've got a really good group of running backs. The offensive line is a strength of the team. But they're going to go as far as Jalen Milroe goes, in my opinion. And they were my pick to win the national title. I was kind of going back and forth between them and Ohio State because the only reason Ohio State is because this is their year. They kind of have to do it this year. So that's why I was kind of going with them, which is easy pick. But I don't know, man. Texas and Alabama don't play this season. They'll meet probably in the SEC championship game or in the playoffs. I think the next team we'll talk about Ole Miss. There's a lot of teams, so we're kind of getting our head on ourselves here. But I like Alabama. Like I said, they're going to go as far as Jalen Milroe goes.
That's right. Ole Miss knocked off Wake Forest 40-6. Jackson Dart for 377.
I'm waiting for them to play a good team.
Yeah.
Alabama really hasn't played a good team. Texas has. Texas has played a very physical team in Michigan and out-physicaled Michigan, which should make everybody in the SEC afraid. But I want to see Ole Miss do something. They got an easy schedule. They got to play Georgia at home, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe they get Oklahoma. I mean, their schedule's not as easy as Tennessee's, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss, they got themselves a layup, which is why they went all in on the transfer portal, because they knew this was our year.
Yeah, we'll see. Boston College loses to Missouri 27-21.
Game was close. Boston College was leading early on. Brady Cook made some plays late, and they put it away. Kind of what you want to see from Missouri. It's a ranked opponent that you're playing in Boston College.
Right.
Number 24 in the country. Wasn't an easy game. I thought they should have won this game a little better, more easy than they did. But Boston College is a sound football team, offensively and defensively. The quarterback kind of not super great at throwing the ball, but his running ability kind of gives you some problems, as we saw what he did against Florida State.
Right.
But Missouri got the win. They got a ranked win. Kind of all that really matters at this point. It was week 3.
Right. Tennessee destroys Kent State 71-0. It was 65-0 going into the second half. So total domination.
I'm not a Tennessee fan.
Yeah.
I don't like Tennessee. I don't like their fans. What I like about Tennessee is the nuts to go for an onside kick in the first quarter. I think it was first quarter. If it wasn't first quarter, it was really early in the second quarter. They were up 30 points, and they go for an onside kick. I'm like, yes, go for the jugular, show no mercy. But, Nico, 173 yards passing, didn't need to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
Again, just like Ole Miss, I want to see them play a team with a pulse.
Right.
They played Kent State.
Oregon State. Oregon won 49-14.
The Civil War.
Yes.
Oregon finally looked like the Oregon we thought we were going to see.
Dylan Gabriel played well.
He did. I feel bad for Oregon State. DJ Uiagalelei left. So did the running back. That was really good last year. They don't really have anybody else. I don't think their top wideout left as well. They don't really have anybody. And kind of just wondering what it's going to be like for them. I know they got kind of reprieve with the whole conference thing, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some other time because I haven't really looked into that too much. But Oregon finally looked like what we thought Oregon would look like, so that's a good thing for them.
That's right. Miami knocked off Ball State 62-0. Cam Ward went for 346. Kind of what you expected.
Again, great performance by a team that we expect to have a great performance of a 10th ranked team in the country. The U is back.
Yeah.
But again, I still want to see them play a good team.
That's right.
Florida's not a good team. Florida's got some athletes, and they beat the hell out of Florida. I'd still like to see them play a decent team.
Well,
I did see Utah knocked off Utah State
fairly
easily. Cam Rising will be back this week, so that's good because they got to play. It's not Colorado. Colorado's got Baylor.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State. I think it's Utah, Oklahoma State this week.
That's right. It is. Utah.
And speaking of Oklahoma State, they beat Tulsa 45-10.
Oklahoma knocked off Tulane 44-19. I was kind of thinking that Tulane was going to give a little more.
Yeah, early in the game they gave them a little bit of run for their money.
Yeah. Just the talent difference finally caught up with them. Interesting game. LSU at South Carolina. LSU wins 36-6. South Carolina had this game in hand.
They did. They were up 17-0. And, LSU's got a really potent offense. Their wideouts and tight end are phenomenal. Nussmeier is an excellent quarterback, as we saw in the Week 1 against USC, the two dueling QBs in that game. South Carolina's quarterback got hurt, and they had to bring in what I think is the transfer kid that they got from Auburn, who's not good at football. Just put that kid at tight end or running back. But Rocket Sanders looked awesome. Yeah. Had, I think, like almost 150 yards rushing, had a really long touchdown run. And they were matching LSU. But there came a point where without the QB in the game, they couldn't keep matching them.
Right.
And that's when LSU, finally put the dagger in there. South Carolina had made plays at the end of the game to kick a field goal to win, college kicker situation. So he missed a field goal when they ice him. And almost every time when they ice the kicker and they kick it anyway and he misses it, guaranteed makes it next time. But kicks it, dude, it missed by like that much. I felt bad for the poor kid. Great game. South Carolina is way better than I thought they would be. They got athletes on the field, just great transfers with Rocket Sanders, a couple other guys. Quarterback plays really, really good. Defense, they got the transfer kid at defensive end. I don't remember where he's from. Then they got a true freshman. So their bookend defensive ends are great. The linebacker's good. DBs aren't all that great, but still good.
Everything. Well,
good team.
Game day was there, and the game delivered. It was a great game.
Noon kickoff and game day was there. That's awesome.
That's right. Michigan knocked off Arkansas State 28-18.
Didn't see any of this game, but Michigan has a massive quarterback problem.
That's right.
Their guys aren't it. They're naming Orji the starter. He's not it. He missed an easy touchdown throw, and I know sometimes the long, deep throws can be a little bit tough, but you play at Michigan. You got to hit that throw. They didn't need it in the game. They won by 10 against Arkansas State. Their offense isn't that good. No. Excuse me. They need better quarterback play. They're not getting it.
Moving right along, Notre Dame knocked off Purdue 66-7. You right there, buddy?
Right. Notre Dame lost last week. Just huge. One of the biggest upsets in college football history. I don't care what they do from here on out. I kind of never really did anyway. I saw their ranking early in the season, and I was like, what a surprise. Just like every single year, Notre Dame is ranked fairly high, and they don't deliver. They've got one terrible loss, and they've got no good wins, in my opinion. Texas A&M wins not that great. They look good against Florida, but Texas A&M is not an awesome team. It's not like it's like super hard to beat them.
That's right.
So I don't really care what Notre Dame does. And I'm going to continue to look at their score and not care because I know they're going to lose a minimum 2 more games this season, and they're going to be having the same conversation post-game as they did last week. That's just what Notre Dame does now.
Nebraska knocks off Northern Iowa 34-3. Nebraska keeps winning.
They are. They got a big game tomorrow against Illinois.
That's right.
247 yards by Dylan Raiola. Kid looks good. Now, last video I kind of sort of criticized him against Colorado that he didn't do a whole lot, and he kind of didn't. He made some throws. He got lucky on a really big, deep throw that led to a touchdown. But it's not that he's not good. He's extremely talented. And the kid, he's got to be trying to look like Pat Mahomes with a haircut, right? That's got to be intentional, right? Same number and everything. But he looks good, and he's got them just like Alabama. I think Nebraska's going to go as far as this guy as he goes, and they got a good football team. They got some good defensive players. They got some good skill guys. Again, the transfer portal, the guys they brought in, besides Dylan Raiola, they're the ones kind of making the plays here. So they're going to go as far as he will, and I'm really glad because I wasn't a fan back when they win the championships like every year. A couple of decades ago, I didn't like Nebraska, but I kind of like them now because football is more fun when there's somebody else in that part of the country that's relevant.
That's right. Moving right along, Illinois took on Central Michigan and knocked them off 30-9. Quiet, good season for Illinois so far.
The Flying Brett Bielema's playing well. They got a big game tomorrow against Nebraska. We'll see what happens. They got a good defense. They got some players on offense. I know that our friend Jerry, my brother-in-law Jerry, friend of the show, will be watching. And unfortunately, I won't be able to watch. We're going to a concert tomorrow night, but I won't be able to watch that game. Yeah, right. I can't say it too loud. Anyhow, I think Illinois is a good team. I'm not really sure what they got in them. I want to see a little bit more of them.
That's right. Moving right along. Florida State knocked off. Excuse me. What am I saying? Memphis knocked off Florida State 20-12. Florida State is bad.
They are so bad. And you know what? DJ didn't look great, but he looked a lot better than he did in the other losses.
Yeah.
Some of the guys that he's throwing to just can't catch the football. It was a crucial third down, I think, like late in the third quarter. The running back in the flat, easy first down, probably could run for a whole lot more, just drops the football. Yep. They're not good, and I think it's snowballing.
Yeah.
I think the defense now knows, and they probably see it in practice, like what they've got on the other side of the football for them, and they need to like clamp it down, and they're really not doing it. And I just think the pressure's building up. They're not going to make a quarterback change, I don't think. I feel they should. I said it before. Yeah. This season for them is lost. You might as well find your young QB that you recruited, play them, see what happens in the season, see who you can develop, and just try to go into next year. But they're still fighting for this year, and I kind of don't blame them because they're only 0-1 in the ACC. The last two games, Boston College. Yeah. So they're 0-2 in the ACC. So they're pretty much out of it.
Right. But hey, try to salvage the season if you can.
Yeah, I just I think at this point you should know what you have already.
Yeah. Moving right along, we'll do Florida and Texas A&M. We'll move on next week. A&M knocked off Florida 30-20.
Backup QB for A&M, and Florida still can't beat them. Florida had some momentum late in the game. It was already garbage time. Yeah. I mean, they were getting smoked. They were making some plays offensively. It just, for whatever reason, they just can't get it done.
So, in my opinion, Florida's got one major problem. When you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And you're sitting there, so I watched Graham Mertz drive down the field, score a touchdown, and then next drive, here comes the other kid.
DJ
Lagway. And I think they go like 3 and out. And I'm like, what are we doing here? You got a guy just drove down the field, marched down the field, dominated. And you're sitting there, you're down. You've got to go with the hot hand.
And they were talking about that in the telecast, and I believe it was Jesse Palmer talking about how he felt with Spurrier. Rex Grossman's a freshman phenom. If he throws an interception or a bad ball, he's going to get yanked. And that was Spurrier's mentality. He did that a lot. I don't know if Napier's that way. He's given Lagway series because he knows what he has in him and he wants to see how he progresses. And I get that. But you're trying to salvage a season. You're trying to not get fired. So you either ride Graham Mertz and see what you can do, or you say, fine, Graham, I apologize. I'm coaching for my job.
Right.
We're going to go with Lagway the rest of the way and see what he can do for us, so at least I can show the AD, look, we lost 8 games, but look how this kid played.
Yeah. Last half of the season.
Yeah, last half of the season. We're going to get some transfers. We're going to, we got some recruits. Give me one more year to see what I can do with this kid in his second full season in college football.
So might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge buyout, and a buddy of ours, Blake, said they probably wouldn't do it. I don't know. I think he's gone.
Well, who are you going to find to replace him?
That's the thing. Basically, everybody's looking to replace guys with either smaller school head coaches like Napier and Norvell, or retreads, or a big coordinator, like the next big guy at coordinator. Could be Georgia's Glenn Schumann, a defensive coordinator. It could be, coordinators Alabama or Texas. You look around the conference. What do you want to do? You want to help. You want to help your team, but also hurt some of your competition.
That's right.
So let's say the playoffs happen, and Texas wins it all. You go grab Texas's offensive coordinator. That's it.